So I will introduce number one this evening, which would be Mary Prisco, running for county clerk.
I think it's good to go first because then maybe I can, my stomach will settle and I won't be so nervous. I guess I want to start by telling you a little bit about me and my background. I know some of you, but I don't know a lot of you. I've been a Boise County resident for 25 years. I currently live in Roby Creek, and I've been there for 12 years. That's off of Highway 21. And prior to that, I lived in Wilderness Ranch. I have been your county clerk for 12 years. I'm in my 12th year right now, so this will be my 4th term that I'm running for. I have 3 children. I raised them all in our county at the Basin School District in Idaho City, starting in preschool all the way up through 12th grade. And in fact, my oldest daughter, and I'm super proud of this, she did her student teaching at Idaho City Basin School District. And she's now a teacher down in Boise at Mountain View. So, and really my kids are the reason why I ever started this journey. Prior to Boise County, I was in the private industry, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that in a minute, but we lived in Boise County, and my children were going to school there, and I really was seeking employment to be in proximity to them, and to be able to be there for them if we all know children, things come up. So they really were what initiated my first run for county clerk, in 2010. I am a CPA, certified public accountant, and I have been a CPA for over 30 years now. Prior to Boise County, the beginning of my career after graduating from California State University, Sacramento, with a Bachelor's of Science in Accounting, I went to work for, at the time it was Deloitte Haskins and Sells, turned into Deloitte & Touche, and then ultimately Deloitte LLP. Anyway, it's an international accounting, tax, and consulting firm. And I got great experience there, management, administration, accounting, auditing, just really a great depth of experience. So that's what I bring to the table, is that past experience combined with the 12 years that I've been your clerk. I also want to talk about the duties of the county clerk, because there are a lot. It's a big job. And I oversee the district court, where I have 4 people that work for me there. So I oversee all court operations. That includes magistrate as well. And then I'm also oversight on the recording, so the recorder's office. I'm sure actually a lot of you are familiar with that. So I'm also what the Idaho law calls the auditor, which is really it's like the equivalent of the chief financial officer. And that entails overseeing all of our financial responsibilities of the county. We also take care of East Boise County Ambulance District for a fee. So we take care of all of the accounting functions, payroll, accounts payable, etc. That position also has annual reporting responsibilities to the state agencies such as the Idaho Supreme Court, ITD, the State Controller's Office now, etc. And in that role, I'm very proud to say that Boise County is one of 8 pilot counties for a transparency project with the State Controller's Office. So it's been a privilege to work with Brandon Wolf's team, and we have it's basically a 5-year period in which to ultimately be at the same transparency level as the state in terms of all the financial activities of the counties. In my role as auditor, I'm also the chief budget officer. So I'm responsible for developing a balanced budget and presenting that budget to the Board of County Commissioners. That's due by August 1st of every year. We've already embarked on the 2023 fiscal year budget cycle that started in April. And our budget for this current fiscal year is about $13 million. So I'm also your chief elections officer, so I oversee the elections, which has become bigger and bigger and bigger operations as the years have gone by. The first year that I took office in 2011 was when they started consolidated elections, which means that it went from the state and pushed down to the county clerks. So there were some additional responsibilities there. I'm also clerk to the Board of County Commissioners, which statutorily that just means that I have to ensure that minutes are taken of their meetings. In a small county, it's more than that because it's requires some management of their agenda, though it is their agenda and it is their meeting. The other, those are all statutory duties. I have duties beyond that, and that is probably the biggest one is county risk manager. So I oversee the liability insurance program as well as the workers' compensation insurance program, so it's through the state insurance fund. I'm also the human resources point of contact, and then I am the indigent program director, which that program is going to be going away starting April 1st. All medically indigent claims are now going to the state. So we're really we're looking at the next year to process everything that's in the queue prior to that April 1st date. And then the other thing that I'm over is the public defense services. And that too, not as timely or quickly as the indigent program, but that's also going to be shifting to the state, which I personally think is a good thing. And so they'll be managing the public defenders throughout the state. They'll be responsible for the funding of that, and that's going to be over like a 2-year period of time. So I guess the last thing I'd like to say is that besides the 4 employees that I have at the district court, I have 6 employees at the clerk's office, so including myself, there's 7 of us to handle all the non-court activities. And so I've got a great team, and I appreciate their efforts, and it takes a lot. We are growing, right? We all know that. And it's put a lot more work, not just on my office, but the other offices of the county. So it's a struggle. It's a struggle.
Okay. You can turn it over to questions if you'd like. Yep. Okay. Does anybody have questions for Mary?
I have a question to whatever clerk got up first. In the Idaho World, there was a letter to the editor. That's not like this. Okay? The Tinix software.
Mm-hmm.
Is that from the state, or is that the county owns that?
The state owns that.
Does the county program in any way?
No, it's managed by the state, by the Secretary of State's office.
Okay, because it talked about not being able to blank out certain private information for watchers. Does the county have control over buttons to turn things off and on?
No, it's a software that any upgrades to that software happens through the Secretary of State's office. They are the ones with the relationship with the vendor, 10X.
And then the part about the Boise County Clerk and the Secretary of State refuses to allow citizens oversight into the very process. This was the...
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. So
does that come down from the state? Does the state say no, or does each county have their own say, yes or no?
No, it's state law, and combined with Directive 2022-03 that was issued on April 27th, I believe, end of the day. That's a really good question, thank you. So I don't know how many people get the Idaho World, but I do have an article in yesterday's edition. We didn't receive our edition of the Idaho World today, which we normally do, but we were told by Eileen Capson, the owner, the editor, that because of the size of it, something with the printer, botched up. So it should be coming on tomorrow, but I do have an article in there, and I've tried to get the information out there in terms of what Idaho code guidance is on challengers and watchers. And in fact, I will also add that Representative Giddings did file a lawsuit. It was filed in Ada County on Tuesday afternoon. There was a 4 o'clock hearing this afternoon, and I wasn't there. Obviously, I was driving over here, but I am aware that the judge dismissed that suit. It was against not only Secretary Denny, but his chief deputy, the Ada County clerk, the Boise County clerk, the Canyon clerk, Twin Falls clerk, and Bannock County clerk. So it was all about what you're asking about.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Oh, wow, looky there. Okay, I'm gonna go this way first.
Yes, hi, I'm Leroy from up the middle of Clerk. I've been here about 42 years, and I hear all the time about budgets, meeting them and not meeting them. As a county clerk, what do you do when they don't meet the budgets? What action is taken? Is anybody being held responsible for that? Is it improper planning or what? Nothing seems to be moved. It's just, we didn't make our budget.
So you're referring to like a situation where maybe a certain department goes over budget on something?
Yes.
Okay. So, well, first of all, we can never go over budget in any given department or fund. I mean, it's actually a lawful thing. If there's unanticipated expenditures, depending on what type of unexpected expenditure it was, there's provisions in law that we build into our budget for the general fund and the justice fund that provide a contingency reserve for those unanticipated expenses, because you always have them. When we're building the budget, we're building it, well, really by the 1st of August. That's my budget officer budget has to be completed by then. So, and then we go into a fiscal year that starts October 1st. So you're going to have things happen that you couldn't have foreseen when you're preparing the budget. All expenditures, though, I will say this too, all expenditures are appropriated as part of the budget, and if we have a policy at the county where if you're going to expend over $2,500 and or you are purchasing something that's not been budgeted, you have to seek approval from the Board of County Commissioners. So in the end, the Board of County Commissioners controls the budget. I prepare it. It's my responsibility to put together a balanced budget. But in the end, they control the expenditures.
So they are the ones that are going to be held accountable for it. Does that come through your office or what?
Yeah, I guess I've not had that I can recall a situation where somebody overshot their budget without getting a budget amendment made beforehand. So that's my experience.
Okay. Is the public able to see that information?
Yes.
If so, where?
On our website, you can find the adopted budget at the top level, revenues and expenses, and it's all by department and fund. And then also we have a PowerPoint presentation on there, which really gets into more a visual thing where you can see, colored graphs and that, so just easier to read than a bunch of numbers. And then we also do the budget amendments. We go through the process as we do with the public hearing for the budget, the original budget, and we capture all those budget changes into one document. And that is also on the website.
Is it also available over at your office?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Just needs a public records request, so,
Thank you.
yep.
Thank you so much. Jason?
I was reading on the bottom of, Jason Solomon, I live here in Garden Valley, reading on the bottom of your sheet here about, and you just mentioned it, the indigent program and public defense services going to state control, and those are two House bills. So was that something the county had any say in at all? And also that seems like taking our local control and giving it to the state, and we all know how the state's been dealing with stuff.
Fair enough. So we don't have direct control other than we are members of the Idaho Association of Counties. And you're right, there's two bills. There's a House Bill 316, I believe, that was last year, and that was the beginning of the shift for the indigent program, and it tied in with our public health departments. And then this year it was 735, which I am going to tell you I have not had the opportunity to fully absorb. But 735 is what basically finalized the indigent program going to the state and the shift for the public health district funding to go to the counties and the public defense services to go to the state. So it is one way to look at it, that the state, we might not want the state to have control, but I also see the expense side of it. And I can tell you with both the indigent program and the public defense services, they've been very difficult to project what kind of dollars we're going to see in terms of like with the indigent, it's medical, emergent, that comes out of that program, as well as psychological holds. So it's always very hard, and it was escalating very quickly, and then when they expanded the Medicaid program, you started seeing a drop, and so that program going away has sort of been going away for a while. The public defense services, I would say that I will speak on behalf of myself and the other clerks. We did want that to move to the state because it was eating away at our potential to levy. It was taking a lot of our property taxes to fund that because it's obviously there's no revenue associated with it. So.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Anybody up? Mel?
Mel Cook here for Garden Valley. When we pay our property taxes and we're late, we usually have to pay some kind of a fine. So I think it was either early this year or late last year, it was in Idaho World, that in the minutes, the financial officer in your area there was late with the taxes because it was just a few nanoseconds, is what it said in the paper, and so we ended up with a fine that basically we are paying. Wouldn't it be the person in your office that is late? I mean, you know the deadline, wouldn't they be liable for that fine instead of all of us?
So I think you're referring to not property tax dollars, but it was a payroll tax.
Yeah.
That's not how it works, but I understand your point. Yeah, I think it was I want to say $400. The payroll taxes are all submitted via ACH. So if I don't remember what the cutoff is. I think it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And so it was literally like a 45-second past due, but yeah. So.
why do we pay for it, and why doesn't the person that's late? Because usually, when it's your fault, I mean, you know, in a company, I'm sure that you would be the person that's gonna be paying for it. It's not.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but that's not how it works. So, I mean, and mistakes are made. I mean, we're all human, and mistakes are made from time to time, so, yeah. But I appreciate your question.
Anybody else? Okay. We love you, Dino.
I know, so does she. I'm gonna take you back 12 years, it's been bothering me, okay?
2011.
Yeah,
Okay.
right when you got it, okay, we went from a 24 to a 26, am I saying that right, people?
Can't
Sorry.
Oh, you went from semi-monthly to bi-weekly.
Exactly, okay.
Yeah.
So I brought up
For what?
What?
pay period for
Pay
county
period,
employees.
yeah, for the county. Yeah.
So my question is you know how it turned out. You told me that if I didn't have a pay stub, I informed you you owed me 2 weeks back wages. And what happened is you said if I don't have a pay stub, oh well.
Speak up.
And so what happened is a county commissioner went in, did the work, I know who it was Vicki. She went in, did that work, and busted her butt and came up with all that money. And my question is why we never got an apology from anybody. All we did was, oh, here's your check, and we got lucky. And my question is, why didn't you step forward? You should have. It was your job.
Well, actually, my office did a lot of
Yes, they
research
did.
with that.
Yes, they did.
And unfortunately, our records went back, the computer system went back to 95, I think.
Yes.
And so in the end, we ended up paying the employees that had that claim, regardless of whether we had the documentation or not. We ended up paying that out.
You did, but my question again is why did you not do it? It was your job, not the county commission.
Well,
This has been bugging me for 12 years.
Well, Dino, there's a lot that bothers you. So,
Nice shot.
yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, that was 12 years ago. I was brand new, and it got taken care of. I do know that. So, well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Take a crack.
You're off the
I'm
hook.
free to go.
You're free, you're off the hook. Okay, who had number 2?